I had, and God is truly blessing it. And it is to encourage women to major in their marriage, not just have a surviving marriage, but have a thriving marriage. And to those that are single in their season of waiting, to encourage them to wait and be about the things of God while they wait on God to send their husband and find themselves. Because sometimes we need to find ourselves. We think we're ready, but find ourselves. And then to those that engage, to not just be so busy about preparing for that big wedding day, spending all that money, who's going to be in the wedding, this and that. That is all nice and good. But I want to encourage you to prepare for marriage. That's the lifetime thing. Prepare for marriage. So I try to get people on here that are single and gay. It's all about family. It might be about finances, getting your finance in order. It might be about budgeting. Might be about singleness. It might be about marriage. It could be about anything. But I think you will be able to find something within these episodes that will be a blessing to you and that you can share with others. As y'all know, I do these episodes the second and the fourth Wednesday. That's when they come out. The second and the fourth Wednesday. So this one will come out on the 24th. Episode number 38. It'll come out on the 24th. And I'll drop the link in my group and share it with others. And you all can share it with other people. But I only interview a guest on the fourth Wednesday. On the second Wednesday, I do the podcast, which is just an audio. But anyway, I just want to thank y'all. And today I am more than excited to have my guest, who is not a stranger to me. She has caused me to get out my comfort zone. She and I was accountability partners before we even started doing any kind of coaching, anything. These was our desires. And we were placed as accountability partners. And Candace stepped out on faith and started doing her thing. And I was watching her do her thing. And I was already in coaching, and she was in coaching. And in my coaching, they were talking about books. It was a lot of them want to be authors. Some of them had already been authors, was want to be. I never took any notes because I never had a desire to be an author. I had no notes. I was like, okay, that's for the people who want to do that. That's not for me. And God began to deal with me by writing a book. And I'm like, what am I going to write about? And I did, and I overlooked and overlooked it and overlooked it and overlooked it. And one day, when my sister-in-law passed, I realized just how short life is. And sometimes you can take your goals and dreams to your grave and not do things that God wants you to do because you don't feel like you have equipped for that. And when my husband and I was on our way from the hospital and in the car, God said, write the book. When I got back to the room at her house, I got my laptop out and I said, what am I to write? And God gave me the title of my book, Women Major in Marriage. That's all I had was a title. Now I'm stuck. I go on Facebook. Candace offering what was a writer lab book, right? What was the name of Candace?
Yeah, it's the Book Inside of You Writers Lab.
That's what it was. And
Yeah.
I clicked on it and I was like, this is it. And I got in that group and my life changed from there. Candace provided me with all the tools,
Yeah.
all the strategies from step one all the way through to write my book. And my goal was to finish my book and have it read on my birthday. And I reached that goal. And now let me tell you about Candace. Baby, was you ever in the military?
No. No, man.
I what I love about her, she hold you accountable. She there for you for those who want help, who
Yeah.
those who want to do it. She's not finna do it for you. You can show up or you cannot show up. But Candace, oh, she held us accountable, and we would have our lab on a Sunday where we would be on the camera. Sometimes we wouldn't even be saying a word. for an hour or two, and but we writing, we doing our goals, we writing, we was holding each other accountable. That was the greatest tool for me, Candace. That was
Wow.
the greatest tool for me. And
Yeah.
I say all that to say that I thank God for you. I appreciate you. I thank God for what you're doing. He is constantly elevating you. I
Yeah.
see you. I see you. I see what you're doing.
Wow.
And I know that the best is yet to come. Let me turn this on phone off. And also, Candace is the reason I'm a travel agent. Candace sent me some. Here's some I think you might want to look at. You might want to be interested. Now I love traveling. My husband and I, we were always going. And I
Mhm.
started reading up on that and I got into it. And today I am still a certified travel agent. So
Yeah.
Candace, I owe you a lot, girl.
No, I owe you a lot. I owe you a lot.
She has truly been a blessing. I'm gonna introduce her and she'll tell you more about her and what she's doing and and why she chose her topic for today. As I say, the guest is Candace B. Woods. She's a mindset business coach. Mindset. That says a
Yeah.
lot within itself.
Yeah.
Candace is from White Plains, Georgia. She loves family, food. Oh yeah, we some kin. Food and coaching individuals and getting out of their way so that they can fulfill their life purpose. Wow. She's the author of a book, While I Wait. While I Wait. I read that book from front to the end, and it is a
Yeah.
powerful book. And she's a visionary author of book Destiny Catalyst. Candace, I'll give the floor to you and just have your
Oh,
way. Have your way. Your this episode 38. Her topic is worth the wait.
yeah.
I know this one gonna blow up. Okay, I know this one gonna blow up because
Wow.
I don't. It seemed like you know, we as married women, a lot of us been married a long time or whatever, and we sit in our little place and we think we got our marriage all together, even though we going through different seasons. You ain't in the same season you was before, but sometimes we get content and we think it's okay. So we don't think all of this stuff is for us. You know, we got some that ain't for me. You know, me and my husband, we good, we fine, we whatever. But so many single women reach out to me, and mostly those that desire husband, those that have been believing God for a husband, waiting, and those who have felt like God have forgot all about them, you
Mhm.
know, and get discouraged. But I know that this episode will be a blessing. So Candace, you just have your way.
Yeah, well, Miss Janice, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's we whenever we see each other and we're around each other, I always just feel so blessed. And I feel like I'm around such wisdom and a wealth of knowledge. And so I glean from you. We've been at this for quite some time
Yes,
together, and God knew what He was doing when He made us accountability partners. And so
yes.
I'm so grateful and thankful for you. And so, just to give a little bit more insight, because the introduction was, that's really the gist of who I am. I love food. I love my family, and I love to serve the people of God through my platform as a mindset business coach. And so when someone asks me, like, who are you really? That's it. Like
That's
it's not a whole lot to me because I spend a whole lot of time doing that. And I believe that, as a single woman, or well, really a divorced woman who's been single again for quite some time. It's just really been important for me to make sure that I was in a place where I had full understanding of who I am in Christ and my identity in Christ, and understanding my purpose and pursuing all of my goals, and and all of the things that God had for me to pursue as far as education and now business. And so so now I'm in a better place and position in my life. And I just continue to see the growth and the maturity in Christ. And so it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey. Many many, mountain moments and then valley moments. But it's been
Exactly.
a great journey this far. And so, yeah, that's who I am, Miss Janice, in a nutshell. I'm an author. I love just being able to, help my clients really find ways to create multiple streams of income, by just using their story. But a lot of times we get in our own way. It's really not a whole lot of other people, that's the problem. I mean, sometimes it is, but oftentimes it's our mindset. It's the way we think
Yes.
about ourselves. It's the way we see ourselves. And we start to, kind of lack forgiveness for ourselves from our past mistakes and those mishaps and those things that we've done in our past. And so I love working with women in particular, to help them just really get out of their own way, embrace who they are, identify their strengths, and to amplify their strengths so that they can begin to pursue God's purpose with passion. And so I've been at this thing for a little while now. I've been in business full time for about 5 years. That's a story in and of itself. But God has really just blessed me. And I, like you said, I've been blessed to really just evolve over time. And so yeah, I love what I do, and I love God, and I'm in a really good place, probably in a better place than I've been in a really long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Candace, you chose the title Worth the Wait.
Mhm.
Worth the wait. Elaborate on what's worth the wait. What brought you to that?
Yeah, so when you ask me that question, like what would my topic be about? It really just dropped in my spirit almost just like that. And I think about my journey, I think about my journey. I've been divorced, a little over 15 years. and so I start to kind of question, like, okay, do I really want to tell people that I'm divorced, or should I just say I'm single? Because I've been single far longer than
Right.
I was married. So but I decided that I really want to embrace every aspect of my life, the good, bad, and
Yeah.
indifferent, and so I have no shame about being divorced. There's no shame about making poor decisions in marriage. There's no shame in that, because ultimately, if I really think about it, I've been so blessed to be able to use, my pain for purpose, and just
Right.
sharing my experience. And, my divorce actually catapulted me into purpose because, I was just in this place where, when I was married, my focus and what I thought, the mindset that I had at that time was
Mhm.
that, I should forsake myself and
Mhm.
forsake, my dreams and my plans and my goals, to support my spouse in pursuing his. And so it was interesting because, and this is no shade against him because this is just the journey, but it was interesting because it was almost like after he got the dream, and the dream came to pass, he really didn't need me anymore,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so we were just in a situation where we were young. We really didn't understand marriage and our roles in marriage. We had these unrealistic expectations. And so what I did was I just I grew from that experience. And a couple of years later, God impressed upon my heart to share my experience in a book. And so that's where While I Wait was birthed. And I talk about, how I found my purpose, in my journey of rediscovery after divorce. And and so today, as I think about my journey, and I think about where I am and how far I've come, and how much I've grown, and how much I've been able to use my pain for purpose, I realized that, yeah, it's been worth the wait.
Birth of what?
I'm kind of grateful, that things happen the way that they happen. And I've learned, Miss Janice, that even in, making the mistakes and the mishaps that I made, in my past, and this is for anybody who goes through those type of struggles, one of the things that we can do and what's best to do is to learn from it, um,
Yes.
and then not only that, but to have the understanding that God has a way of even taking our mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and restoring the years and restoring time and making things and putting you on a path, a straight path, and really making it, almost like it never really happened. And so
Right, right.
another reason why I said worth the wait is because I believe, and I'm finally in this place. It took me a while to get here, but I believe I'm worth the wait.
Yes,
I
yes,
I believe I'm worth the
yes,
wait, and
yes,
so
yes,
I've gained, a clear understanding about my worth and my value, and so the journey is so significant, and so I hope that I can do or say something that will encourage any woman who is in her waiting season and is struggling with it, due to loneliness and frustrated about, when am I going to get married again, to really just take some time to just use this time to get to know herself, get to know God, to really, know what her wants and likes are, to just enjoy the journey, and most of all, seek God for your purpose. Seek God
yes.
for your purpose. So, yeah, it's all been worth the wait.
It's been worth the wait. It's been worth
Yeah.
the wait. Wow. What would you say to that woman that is waiting, that is waiting, and that's been waiting and have gotten discouraged, but she feels that she have learned herself, she has found herself, she's staying busy, but
Mhm.
it's just that is her biggest struggle. Um, and I always tell women, don't compromise. Don't compromise. Sometimes you get in such a hurry, you want to try to help God out. I remember when my husband and I wanted children, doctor said we wouldn't have children. So then I went talking about adoption. And at that time, I'm glad God gave my pastor, that was my pastor at that time, wisdom to say, if you want to adopt a baby because you feel that your situation is too hard for God, then adoption is not for you. So, in other words, I'm trying to do it for God. I'm trying to help him out. I was like, he said I'm gonna have children, but he didn't say how.
Yeah.
I'm trying to compromise and I'm trying to fix it. But I thank God for the wisdom and begin to pray and seek God. And God blessed me with two children. He allowed me to get pregnant
Mm.
and blessed me with two children. But it it was worth the wait. And then I look back and I was like, Lord, if I had went on and did that, because that's what was making me feel good. And everybody, when y'all gonna have some children? When and then people will put a biological clock on you
Mhm.
easily. You're not married yet. You haven't got no husband yet. You haven't did this. What would you say? What would you say to encourage, or have you experienced this experience where there have been days where you said, Lord, I'm praying, I'm living for you, I'm doing this one, doing that, and such, she on getting her fourth husband. Lord, Lord, I'm gonna
My
be a
God.
good Lord, I'm gonna be a good wife. They getting a
Yeah.
divorce. Oh, they over there getting divorced. That one's getting divorced. That one not staying. But Lord, I'm ready to be a wife. I'm ready to commit. How have you had to deal with that?
Oh wow, Miss Janice, you up all up in my Kool-Aid, you know. Because I'm up there, in age as it pertains to, um, should have been married by now or should have had children because I don't have children who are here on this earth right now. I did go through my own loss of through due to miscarriage, and I can attest to the challenges of not being married, not having children, watching everybody else do it the way that they decide to do it, and wanted to do it in the quote unquote the right way, right? I
Mhm,
wanted
mhm,
to be married and I wanted to have children in that order, right?
mhm.
and so
Right.
um and so I never wanted to compromise that. I never, I've had my moments when I desired, to have children, and that desire was very heavy on my heart. And as I began to grow in age, I started to question, is this really going to, happen for me? And so yeah, and it's been a struggle, even to the point where I've had people who still try to talk me out of it even now because of my age. They're like, oh, maybe it's just not meant for you, and it's
Mhm.
okay, the children these days, they so bad, and
Mhm.
you shouldn't even want kids, and so people, they try to be helpful, but
Right, right, right.
sometimes they can be a little, not understand that their those statements can be a little insensitive, because
Mhm.
I have the faith to believe that that it will happen for me, even at my age, that
Yes.
it will happen for
Yes.
me, and that God is going to honor the fact that I want to do it his way,
Wait.
and so
Right.
that is the thing that has really kept me.
Mhm.
I can admit I've been weary in my well doing. I've had moments when I compromised. I've had moments when I tried to rush God, and I've had moments when I tried to do it myself.
Right, right, right.
Even engaging in relationships that I knew were not good for me. I knew that we weren't on one accord. I knew we weren't unequally yoked, and even in that, God still says yes. I'm
Wow.
still going to fulfill that promise to you. And so, what I've done in those moments that I think would be helpful to others who struggle in that area, struggle with the weight of the weight, right? What I've done is I just decided that I'm going to stay focused on just doing the will of God, and that
Yes.
if I just continue to keep pressing and continue to do it God's way, and honor God in serving others and honor God in doing his will, then I know that he'll reveal to me his plan for me, because
Yes.
Jeremiah 29:11 says that I know the thoughts and the plans that I have for you.
Yes.
My plans are good, not to harm you, but to give you a future and to
Future.
give you hope. And so
Yeah.
I stand on that word, and I know that even if he decides that I won't get married, even if he decides that I won't have children, I've decided that I want God more,
Yes. Yes.
that I
Yes.
want my relationship with God more. And so I stand on that truth and I stand on that promise.
Yeah.
It's been prophetically spoken that it will happen for me. And I believe that. I believe that. And
I,
I believe that
I
it's
believe it
closer
too.
now than I ever
Yes.
have, Miss
Yes.
Janice. I
Yes.
really do.
I
I
believe it
really
too.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe it. I believe it too. I believe it. Yes.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
I believe it too. God knows your heart and he see that you have committed your whole total life to him and
Yeah.
you allow him to order your steps.
Yes, ma'am.
You've gotten yourself out of the way. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what God wants to see, our obedience. Our
Yes, ma'am.
obedience.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Your husband is coming, Candace.
Oh,
He's
he gonna be
coming.
good too, Miss Janice.
He
I
gonna
can feel it. I can
he,
feel it.
he gonna be
Amazing.
good. He gonna be good. He gonna be good. Cause
Yeah.
I'm been already got his resume.
Check him out, Miss Janice.
His full social security number.
You know I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna have you check him out.
Candace, let me ask you this: with guys that you have met and dated,
Mm-hmm.
and you came to the realization that no, he's not for me, and you didn't compromise. How did you get to that point? The Lord just dealt with you, or God just showed? Because a lot of times we see red flags and we
Mm-hmm.
look over them because
Mm-hmm.
of what we anxious.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that like? Have you dated a lot?
Oh yeah. I've dated a lot. I've dated a lot, and I've had a couple of serious relationships that I thought would lead to marriage, that didn't. And I think the best way that I, have taken on the challenge of, dating, especially nowadays, Miss Janice, it's different. It's different. It's so different. But the challenges that I've had, were not necessarily the type of men that I were dating, because I do believe they were good men, who were, or even great men who, really, have a good heart, and just may not have been, just weren't right for me, or it wasn't right
Mm,
the right time,
time.
and so what I've done was I when I was younger, I used to try to fit, a round peg in a square hole. I used to
I
try to
got you.
make it work,
Make it work.
because
Right.
I wanted it so bad, and I wanted marriage so bad, and I used to try to, make excuses or accommodate for people, overlook red flags, and so I did that, pretty often, in my younger years. But as I've grown and matured, um, I know what I desire. I know that based on my purpose and God's plan for me and what He has for me to do and be, in this world, that it's important for me to make sure that I am connected to, and that I am equally yoked with someone who can understand, and even in many ways cultivate my growth and my purpose. I'm a business owner, and
Right.
so I'm very on the move. I am very outspoken at times, and so there, what I've kind of run into at times is just that there were some men who were uncomfortable with my entrepreneurial goals and aspirations, because of the risk that being a business owner has or comes with. A lot of them were, they, blue collar guys, and they,
Mm,
they depend on that paycheck, and so they want to make sure that
right.
that
That you
they
know,
know
got your
that
stuff together.
that you go have, and so
Right.
that's been one of the biggest challenges for me, is just the highs and the lows of just being an entrepreneur, and meeting guys who didn't understand that part of my world, and then
Hmm.
another part was not necessarily being unequally yoked, but being unevenly yoked,
Could
right?
you elaborate? Could you
Yeah.
elaborate on that?
Yes, ma'am. So unequally yoked, like they they love God. They would go to church, read the Bible, they
Hmm.
pray,
Hmm.
but they just weren't in the same place that I was in. We were
Gotcha.
uneven
Even.
in and I might have been a little bit more ahead of them in
Different levels.
in different levels, in a
Yes.
sense, in my relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
So they may have been still in this phase where they hadn't really encountered Holy Spirit in the way that I've encountered Holy Spirit. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes, my dad, my dad, Miss Janice, he used to use this thing, where he would say, and it was really just a thorn in my flesh. He would just irritate me so bad when he would say this, but he would say, Candace, you gotta stop intimidating men. Miss Janice, that's a whole other podcast for a whole other day, okay? But he would say that to me, and I realized something, just after his passing, and just over the past few months of just like processing, what did he mean by that? A lot of that was because he had some inadequacies. He had things and desires that he had wanted to do, and as his life began to end, and he was becoming, getting to the end of his journey, I think my dad had a lot of regrets. And
Mm-hmm.
so, um, one of the things that I believe that, he meant by that was that, sometimes, because I am very outspoken, because I'm educated and have, 2 degrees, but more specifically because of where I am in my relationship with God, that can be
Mm-hmm.
intimidating.
Right, right,
That
exactly.
can cause some pause, especially when where I am, it forces you to have to stretch. It forces you to
Mm-hmm.
have to, and when they're not ready for that, then there's a pause, and there's a, and so I've come to a place where I've learned to accept it. and
Mm-hmm.
and say, you know what, that's okay.
That's okay.
This is who I am. I'm not going to dumb down. I am not
Right.
going to scale back, who I am. I'm going to believe that God is going to send me someone who can accept who I am, embrace who I am, value
Mm.
who I am,
Yes.
and see me as, a helpmeet, and someone who can help them accomplish their goals and their dreams. And so I'm a big dreamer. I'm a risk taker, and sometimes that's a little much. That's a
Put
little
them
much. But
when you put those two together, huh?
yeah, when you put those two together, that's a little much. But I'm also someone who has a lot of faith,
Yes.
who has a lot of
Yes.
faith, and I've seen the hand of God work in my life and in other people's lives. And so,
Yes.
so when it comes to just the dreams and desires that I have, I just believe that it's gonna happen for me, and so
Yes.
so I need somebody that's gonna be on the same page, that same
Praise.
level of faith. And
Ex-
so, like men and women, who may struggle with the same thing, I think also, just the fact that I've learned who I am, I've
Right.
learned what I like and what I enjoy. I'm aware of my own dreams and visions. And so, as a visionary, being able to kind of like see, the big picture. And when I tell
Right.
somebody that, they're like, if they don't see it, whoa, that's big.
Right.
That's a
Right.
lot. And so,
Exactly.
so yeah, so I would encourage anybody who's struggling with that, just be you and be
Mhm.
okay, with who you are. And don't feel like you have to, scale back and accommodate people and where they are, because I really don't want to be in anybody's circle or anybody's life that's not gonna make me want to grow, be better,
Exact.
and grow,
Exactly.
so that's
Exactly.
important to me overall. So yeah.
Exactly. That's awesome, Candy. And you answered the question with what would I want you to leave with the audience. Those that
Yeah.
you covered everything. You covered everything.
Yeah.
I think that you have encouraged them to wait, love themselves, don't compromise, and I think all of that. I think all of that is the key,
Yeah.
and to let women know that they're not alone. They're not the only one. You'll sometimes feel like it don't matter what we're going through, whatever we're going through. We always feel like it's just us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in spite of it all, God knows and He sees. And the uniqueness about it is God already know who your husband is.
Yep.
Isn't that something?
Yep.
He
Yep.
know how he look. He knows everything about him, everything about you. And
Yeah.
God is he and God not gonna get somebody in your life they're gonna bring you down
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you faithful to him. And
Amen.
you waited on him, which is the most important thing, is to wait
Yeah.
and to seek God, to seek God.
Amen.
I had a young lady to say that she on her second marriage, and she has a beautiful marriage now. She thank God for her her marriage now, but she thanking for the first one that it taught her some things to learn how to appreciate her husband. Now I think they've been married 5 years, but she was saying that all the red flags was there, but in her mind they were gonna get it together once they got married. Oh, we can do this. We can work on this. Oh, this not bad. Oh, he's a good provider. Oh, this and that. But she said, as she on her wedding day, she she tried to be happy, but she couldn't. She
Wow.
was like, she said God kept dealing with her not to do it. She didn't back out of it because didn't want to be embarrassed. And her marriage just went downhill, down all the red flags, they just got bigger. And then there was more red flags that she didn't know of. So
Mhm.
it is so good to just, because everybody on their wedding day, most people on their wedding day, when they take those vows and they say I do, they say them so fast without even thinking about
Yeah.
I do the love and the honor, sickness and health. But you never think about some of those very things you say I do to you, you're gonna be challenged with.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna be challenged with some of those things. So you gonna being married, it ain't for the faint.
No,
It's
no.
not it's not for the faint. I've been married 45 years. I thank God for my marriage, but I would not do myself service or anyone else to say that I had a perfect marriage that is perfect.
Mhm.
We forever change and we forever in seasons.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And neither is he. I was married at 19, okay? I'm not the same person. We learned a lot. We focus on, building a family, building a career. We had different things. Now we retired. Now we doing our own little thing. So everything is different. So you have to be prepared. And
Yes.
I saw in a marriage group that I'm in, that somebody posted that they had shacked up with the girls that she had shacked up with the guy, and now they got along so good prior. Now they have all kind of problems. But you
Mhm.
know what? Marriage is a covenant,
Mhm.
and the devil is gonna do anything he can to try to destroy. He gonna bring some things up against you, and see when he already got you when you over there shacking up with
Mhm.
somebody that you haven't committed to
Mhm.
God to. So
Mhm.
it's gonna be different. So marriage is work. So you have to be willing to put in the work. And
Yeah.
while you waiting, just prepare. You might go out to dinner. It might not be nobody but you was like, oh, let me dress up. Let me just look good while me and my husband go
Oh
eat this
yeah.
meal. We go
That's
eat this
it.
meal. Do things for yourself. That self-care. Give yourself that self-care. And once you ask God, you done already asked me. You know what you want. Now
Yeah.
all you got to do is thank him for it. And that's to anybody that's believing God for her. Start just thanking him for it. Don't keep, he's not hard of hearing. Don't keep on saying,
Yeah.
Lord, I asked you for that 62 man. I asked you for this and I asked you that. You already asked him for it, okay?
Mhm.
Just say,
Mhm.
Lord, I thank you for my husband. You get up in the morning, look at it, and say, I thank you for my husband. You
Yep.
look over there you look over in the bed, baby, you woke. Thank you.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because Miss Janice, that makes me think about, we're wives before we get to the altar, and that's something
Yeah,
that I learned from you. When you
yeah.
when you first embarked upon your journey as the marriage major, and you had your first event, and there were all the married women in the room, and I was the one single one in there just taking it all in and learning. And I think that has been one of the best decisions that I could have ever made, in just putting myself around and surrounding myself around, women that I can glean from, who are wise and who can be good examples of
Yes.
what a kingdom spouse and a kingdom wife really is. And so
Mm,
I'm so grateful, for you and for Donna and Tanika and all those
yeah.
women who were married, and I'm the only single one, in the group. But I learned and I grew so much, just being around all of you. And so I think that's really important, for those of us who are still in our waiting season, and
Hmm.
to just surround yourself around wisdom, women you can
Right.
glean from. I talked about Ruth in the Bible. I mean, in my book, where I talked about her relationship with Naomi, and how she went and she was looking, she was a widow, but she was
Right.
looking, she wanted to be married,
Hmm.
and that really wasn't her first, even her first thought, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
because she was
Right.
just out just living, she was
Li-
just like, hey, my husband's gone, but I just want to make sure that I serve your God, to serve the God that you serving. And she just went out and she just started doing what she needed to do to take care of herself. And so I
Mhm.
learned so much from that her story, because it put me in the perspective and in the mindset. You know what? While I'm waiting, I'm gonna glean. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
out and I'm gonna work. I'm gonna find my purpose. I'm gonna, live my life the way that God desires for me to live it. I'm gonna, pay off my debts.
Mhm. Right.
I'm gonna do things that's going to make me an asset,
Oh, wow.
and not be in a position where now don't get me wrong, I'm still working on that debt thing, right? And I believe that God will send me somebody who will accept me and my debt. Okay. But at least I got a plan. I'm
You
working
got a
on it.
plan.
I'm working on,
You have a plan.
eliminate. I got a plan. I'm working on that thing, and I'm just so grateful, that I'm just in a position where I am, I know how to be dependent on God. That when, if somebody chooses to say, I don't, if that happens again, which I pray that it won't, but if it happens again, I won't be so dependent on a man to take care of me, and not having the ability to move on and to pick up the pieces and keep going. I won't be in that position again, because that's where I was the first time around. But
Mm.
and it taught me a very valuable lesson.
Mm.
And so I know, I don't have the mindset that I don't need a man. That's not
Right.
my mindset. But my mindset is that if someone decides that they don't want to do this, thing called marriage with me again,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be okay, because I know
Right.
how to take care of myself, and I know how to continue to depend on God for everything, to be
Yes.
my source. And so,
Mm.
I just, encourage again, for women who struggle in your waiting, just learn how to become dependent, so dependent on God,
Mm.
so confident, and that you rest in him, that you know that, even he can take care of that. I had a coworker
Mhm.
once that said, Candace, if God can be the creator of the world, and he can make the
Mm.
trees and the oceans, honey, he can give you a man.
Yeah. That was enough to shout on.
That's And so I have been, I've stood on that word and I said, you're right. But this is the thing. It's worth the wait because he's gonna be worth the wait. That's
Right.
what I believe. The man that God has for me is gonna be worth the wait. He's gonna be
Mm,
worth the rejections, and other guys that I thought, were really for me, but were really counterfeits. He's gonna be
right.
worth the
Mm,
weight. And so I get excited. I get more and more excited, even now,
right.
I'm gonna take, your advice, and I'm gonna start waking up in the morning and saying, "Hey, honey, good morning." Good morning. I'm gonna
Good
start saying
morning.
good night. Yeah, because
Exactly.
I'm believing God that
Mm,
it's
mm,
happening
mm,
for
mm,
me, not many
mm,
days hence. I'm believing God for that.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, Candy, this has been an awesome mm, mm, mm,
Yeah.
and needed and much
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
episode. I pray that God will bless you exceedingly and abundantly above that which you're able to ask or thank for your
Amen.
faithfulness, for your faithfulness. I thank you so much for accepting, immediately accepting and saying, yes, I will be
Yes.
glad to. Be glad because I don't just have interviews with anybody. I
Yeah.
pray and seek God who to get. And he had given me your name back in the summertime. But when it was time when I was doing my dates and reaching out, he would not let me reach out. I don't know why. He would
Yeah.
not let he would not let me reach out back then. And I know you
Yeah.
was going through some things with your dad, and I don't even know if that was it. It was just it was 2024 kept ringing.
Yeah. That was
2024.
it. Yeah. I just wasn't in the best space. I
Okay. Okay.
wasn't. And yeah, like the last month of the year, um, God was, just through a challenge that I was a part of. I believe that I received my deliverance and healing, just from the grief
Wow.
that I went through. And so yeah, so God, he didn't release me because I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't in the best
Wow.
place. So, but
Wow.
I thank God that I am now. Yeah.
Wow, wow. That's good. And that's good to know that, when you heard from God, but then you
Mm-hmm.
get the confirmation. Now that
Yep.
was a confirmation. It was like 2024 that you
Yeah.
used to start my first podcast for 2024.
Oh
And I and
wow.
I and I kept praying about it and praying about it. Because every month I was like, okay, this month, Candace, I'm gonna reach out. It was like, no,
Yeah.
this month, Candace. No. And I was like, it was like, I know she has so much to say and to
Yeah.
encourage because she's been a blessing to me. But God knew he knew what he was doing,
He
and
knew.
you're in a good space. Maybe
Yeah.
the podcast would have went different had I just not
Yep.
been
Yep.
obedient. Then you might have not have accepted it, would might have helped. But I thank
Yeah.
you so much for saying yes. This podcast will be out on the 24th. I'll send you the link. You'll get the link
Awesome.
to it and you'll get a chance to see it. And you can share the link that it'll be a blessing to others,
Yeah.
those that are in their season of waiting. And this might even help people not so much waiting on a husband, but whatever
Mhm.
you believe in God for,
Yeah.
whatever season you're in, help you to encourage yourself. Encourage yourself and wait and don't let people put um dates and time and age and all this stuff on you about when you gonna have some children. Y'all been married 5 years, you don't have any children, and all those different things. Candy, you have truly, truly been a blessing. I love you. I appreciate you.
I
And
love
I
you
just want to say
too.
thank you. And ladies, you all, when you hear this episode, please share this episode. Don't just keep it to yourself. Share it because I don't just have these episodes just to have these episodes, but that they may be a blessing to people. And sometimes you try to decide who you might send something to, but pray and ask God to lead you who to send it to because you never know who need to hear what. And if you one of those ladies that have a story that you think would be befitting for this podcast, you can email me at themarriagemajor@gmail.com. Now, every um person that say they would like to be on my podcast is not to say that you don't have a story, but it might not be
Mhm.
befitting for my podcast.
Yeah.
So I pray about it and I ask about it. It might, you got some people want to be on here and preach their first sermon and that's not what it's all about. Which I don't have anything against that. And
Yeah.
I feel like if God lead me to get somebody on here to minister, that's what I'm gonna do. But I have to make sure that it is of God. So
Amen.
if you think you have a story, don't sit on your story, because your story will be a blessing to somebody else. It'll be able to help somebody else. So if you do, reach out to me. So Candace, again, I said thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'm going to end this podcast, and you'll be hearing more from